Let's go to the desired situation of the sales interaction. So the desired situation, where it lies, is on the scripts. If you pull up your scripts, this is after you ask them what's your ideal solution. Okay, what have you like? Have you been looking for ways, or what have you been doing? After you ask them, hey, what are you kind of looking for? What's your ideal criteria? After that, you go into AKA, some people call it future pacing goals. So, hey, let's say you're able to get problem fixed. How's your life look differently? How's your business look like differently? So let's go through that part, because this is another key lever you can pull along with the problem section. Is if you get this, if you pull out emotions, if you can get them visualize them ideal situation, get them emotional, then you can actually get a possibility of making the sale. So let's go through this. So the common mistake that people make here is they just kind of stay surface layer, right? Okay, so what, let's say you're able to solve a problem. What they're like to do? I can make 10K a month. I can get more dates. I can lose some weight. Okay, cool. And then they ask maybe like 2 or 3 surface area questions and they stop there. You don't want that. What we want is we want to get them to actually visualize in their head and get them emotional, because that's when the emotions go up. Because what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get them from, if you're trying to sell, hey, you get coaching calls and a course and some accountability is 5K, buy it. They're going to be like, yeah, let me go think about it. But if you can get an answer such as, well, dude, that would be, I would feel like a proud father taking care of my children and my family. That's a lot bigger driver for them to actually spend 5K, 10 grand. You see them? So let's go through it. So standard questions look like this. So let's say we're able to help you with ideal criteria of solving problems so you can get outcome. What would that X allow you to do that you can't really do right now? So let's go through different examples. So let's say you help, like as BizOp, for example, helping people escape their 9 to 5, start a business, make more money. Then the question would sound something like, okay, so let's just say we're going to help you start that business, get the step by step so you can get the 10K a month. What would that extra money allow you to do that you can't really do right now? And don't tell me something boring like reinvest or real estate. So for make money offers, it's good to plug this in, especially if you get these types of surface area logical answers. What we're trying to do here is you plug it in, right? The ideal criteria solve problems, right? Let's just say we're helping you like step by step how to start a successful business so you can get to 10K a month, right? What would the extra money allow you to do that? And if you notice here, I'm looking to the top corner of my eyes. Because what that does is when you do this, now the other person starts to do this too, and they start to visualize because they're looking up. You want that. Okay? And what we're doing here, where I put a ... on the script, so allow you to do that you can't really do right now. You're putting a pause there. What that does is it actually gets them to reflect and actually visualize and get a more thoughtful answer, more emotional answer, rather than if you ask them like, so what would that allow you to do? You see the difference? So whenever you want to ask a more thoughtful answer where you provoke more emotions, you want to kind of pause in between like that. Okay? And then also, this is because with make money offers, you may get like, yeah, I'm going to reinvest. I'm going to save up. I'm going to get into real estate. That's not that emotional. That's kind of surface there. So what we're doing is we're using a playful tone to reduce that, shutting that door to remove those answers in the first place. And don't tell me something boring like reinvest or real estate. So at that point, it removes a lot. There's some people still say reinvest. At that point, I kind of stopped them. I was like, dude, I literally just said no investing in a playful tone. But this removes 90% of that, 95%. Okay. So if you sell fitness, for example, so you don't ask it exactly like this. You'd ask more like, how'd your life look differently, right? For like fitness or dating, for example. So you can say something like, so let's just say, we're able to help you with the accountability and the diet plan so you could actually lose that 50 pounds, get to that 130 pounds. How would your life look maybe different than it is now? How's your life look maybe, pause, different than it is now? Look is a visual cue word. So you use that word, right? So let's just say we're able to help you with step-by-step how to approach women, how to go on dates, what to do on the dates. How would your dating life look maybe different than it is now? Or we can even say, how'd your life look maybe different than it is now? So you want to ask actually, hey, I want to know, curious, like how did the bit there? So because when you do that, because like if you lean in, especially in your body language, whether you sell through Zoom or not, because even through audio, they can still tell that you're leaning in through your audio, that they start to actually open up more. So towards here, what you're doing is also in your sub communication, you want to slow it the fuck down, because towards up top, you're more curious, lighthearted, punching them down the script, boom, 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 boom. Here's where you kind of slow down and have more weight in the questions you're asking, because when you do that, it's a change of pace, so they can tell that these are more thoughtful questions, thoughtful conversation. Okay, so you're drawing out more emotions. So you're doing that. Okay, and then here, typically what will happen is this, and I also and then you want to kind of probe into, get them to visualize, or I kind of draw it out how they'll look like, because if they can say like, retire my parents, how they'll look like, how would that make him feel? Okay, how does that make you feel? You ask them that. Yeah, I can see that. Okay, but you make it different types of answers. So I made a flow chart and different answers and decision tree and where to go. Okay, so this is the desired situation section. So you ask this question. Let's just say you're able to get to 10K a month. What did allow you to do that you can't do now? How'd your life look differently than it is now? Okay, at that point, you may get something like a nice to have kind of answer, an actual strong driver. Most of the times you look at this, because they just kind of want to either, maybe they want to do like a safe answer because they don't want to feel judged or whatever it may be. So they may say like, yeah, it'll be nice to kind of travel. Now we have to think here is, is it nice to have really enough for them to put down 5K, 10K, 15K and go through their fear? Probably not. But they will run through broken glass if it were to something really fucking important, right? Save their children from a burning building, for example, as graphic as it sounds. They will, right? So it may not be as drastic as that, but we want to get a strong driver. Okay. So if you get like, yeah, it'd be nice. If you can tell from either their tone or the words they're using, yeah, it would be nice to kind of travel more. It would be kind of nice to save more. If you get this house answer, now, okay, is it a nice to have, or is something actual driver for you, right? Or if they even say like, if they even don't say it's a nice to have, but in your tone you can tell, then you can clarify, is it nice to have, or is it an actual strong driver for you? Or if they say actually not, it's a nice to have, if they be direct like that, then you can reframe it. Okay. Okay, so what's an actual strong driver for you? Because if you're going to get outside of your comfort zone and work towards your goals, it needs to be a strong reason for you than just nice to have through the bad days. So what is a driver for you? Okay, so this is where you start to become more assertive. Okay, as you go along with your sales call, the assertiveness increases. So at that point, you know what? I actually want to retire my parents. Okay. Okay, so that's a strong driver. Yeah, you get a strong driver. You probe into that. There's different questions you can use on that, depending on what they tell you what that goal is. Let's say they want to retire their parents, right? So what you want to do is you want to go into the why. Okay. Oh, that's awesome. Why is it important for you to retire your parents? Where is it coming from? So you're leaning in again. Oh, that's awesome, man. Like, why do you want to do that? Where is it coming from is such a powerful question. I learned it from a guy named Kyle in a previous offer we used to sell. But especially when you can tell something's a pretty strong driver for them, oh, where is it coming from? Because when you ask that, what do they typically talk about? Childhood shit. And childhood shit is one of the biggest drivers for people, because if you look at any podcast interviews of like the most successful entrepreneurs or athletes, like top performers, what they'll usually say is, because when we're younger, we were broke. So I never wanted to be there ever again. Because when I was younger, I hated sucking. I was cut from a high school basketball team. So I never want to be that guy. They'll usually talk about that. Oh, because, when I was, they've done a lot for us. Our parents done so much for us. And if you say, why do you want to get your kids into private school? Yeah, because when I was younger, I went to a shitty public school, and then, I got picked on, and they'll start talking about shit like that. That makes sense. It's awesome that you want to do that, man. So, and you can chunk up and chunk down. Okay, so how much do you need to retire your parents? How much do you need to put your kids to a private school? How much do you need to retire a wife and do the things you want to do comfortably? How much do you need to XYZ? How much do you need to get that brief, beautiful home? Okay, this is for make money offer specifically. And then after that, right? And let's say, for example, for other offers too, right? Let's just say for fitness, for example, right? Oh, I would be able to play more with my granddaughter, right? So you can kind of probe into that. How would that look like, right? If they say like, you know what, I actually feel confident. Confident in what way, right? And you can also go into, okay, goals without a time frame is just a dream, and we don't care about your dream. We care about your goal and helping you get there. So by when do you want to retire parents by? By when do you want to get that home by? By when do you want to do this by? Okay, that starts to add more urgency. It's like shortening, like narrowing them down. Okay, and also this gives you like a coaching frame, which them see you more as an authority. They follow more of your lead. Okay, so after you go through that, right? So if like for dating, for example, right? Okay, like I can date like multiple women. That's awesome, man. Like, what would that look like? I can go on like this date. They'll feel awesome, right? If they lose weight, they can actually go to their granddaughter's wedding. Oh, how'd that look like? Awesome. Okay, and then from here, you get them to the more emotional state, which you ask a direct question: is how does that make you feel? But you visualize it. Okay, because if you just ask it, how does it make you feel, you may get some answers, but if you can visualize it, it can be a more powerful answer. So you being able to do that, you give your parents a call. Like, hey guys, you've done so much for us. Don't go to work tomorrow. I got you. How does that make you feel to be that son for them? So you put a pause. As you're saying that, you want to put emotions into it. Just like being actors, right? I took one acting class because I want to understand like how it feels like to put emotions behind your words and stuff like that. What you want to do is you want to visualize as if you are that person. You're as if you're the person giving your parents a call to retire them. Right. So you being able to do that, pause. You coming home one day and then be like, hey honey, the home that was always wanted, I've got it. How does that make you feel, man, to being that husband, being the leader of the household? Right? So you put a pause. How does it make you feel? Emphasis on the feel, and you insert a desired identity they want to be. Because the reason why we put identity there is because identity is one of the biggest human drivers of human behavior. Okay, more so than action itself. So you being that provider for the family, you being the leader of the household. So you put that, okay, well, whatever the thing is, right? So you being able to do that, you walking your granddaughter, right? If you know their granddaughter's name, it's even better, right? You ask them. So you being able to do that, you walking Sally down her wedding, and she looks beautiful, and you're still there, your knees don't hurt. How does that make you feel being the grandfather for her? And then they get like quite emotional when you ask it like that. So you being able to do that, where you're able to approach women effortlessly, and then now you're actually with women that you actually enjoy being with, they're attractive. How does that make you feel being that guy? Yeah, that feel really good. In what way? I feel confident. So you want those kind of answers: proud, confident, things like that. Okay, if you get a vague answer like just like good in what way? Okay, you can even be playful, just good. They're like, yeah, I feel amazing. Amazing in what way? Like this. So this is a desired situation. Okay. So if you sell to people like small business owners, for example, unless it's enterprise level, which is most people don't, if it's like small business owner like home improvement businesses and things like that, then or like real estate agents, like they're kind of business owners, but they're still like kind of still like B2C technically. Then what you can do is like ask them about like how your business look differently, go into the business and then go into the personal. Okay. So how things be different in your business, what would you be able to do in the business that you can't do now? And then you can go to, okay, and how would your life look differently outside of your work? And then you can go into this because it gets them more emotional. Okay. And in an enterprise setting, you don't really do that. Like enterprise meaning like it's fucking like 9-figure companies, and then they have like 5 decision makers and like 7 decision makers, things like that, and like super like corporate. In that case, not really, but in this case, they would apply. Okay, so get them emotional, go through this, practice it, put emotions behind it when you say it, and then you don't have to overcook it, but you can ask like maybe like 3 or 4 like follow up questions to get the draw out the emotions, and then when you do that, then now they're getting a more emotional state. Okay, so go practice this and let us know how it goes in the community.